Yeah, it's. I hate being right. I hate being right. And unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, my name is Steve. Welcome to The Varied Life. And I'm retired overseas in Korea. But today we're not going to talk about Korea. We're going to talk about Thailand because they're changing their tax laws. And before, Thailand used to be like this place you could go and be an expat, retire over there, and things were great, and you didn't have much tax. I don't think there was really any tax. I might be mistaken on that, but a number of people have, said, "Oh, you got to go to Thailand. You got to go to Chiang Mai, or some of those places to retire there. It's great. Of course, the prices are extremely low." But I kind of said this in the past, not kind of, I did say this in the past that countries will start to realize that there is a market for expats and retirees into their countries. And besides bringing income from renting and buying food and medical and dental and taxis and partying and all of the things that are associated with living life in another country, I did say that these countries would start taxing their those people. And yeah, it's unfortunately this came true, and this is what is happening in Thailand. So I wanted to go over some information, and we'll take a look. South Korea is up here at the top right, and you got Japan, and right down the road is Thailand right here. So Thailand is pretty nice. It's a good jaunt from the United States, definitely a good jaunt, and it's still even a fair trip from Korea. But you've got Chiang Mai, you've got Pattaya, you've got not Bangkok is the capital, and then Phuket and Phi Phi Island and Koh Samui and things like that. So there's a lot of great places in Thailand. We went to Thailand. We spent one night in Bangkok because of the song. You have to spend one night in Bangkok. If you don't, you can't even say you went to Thailand. If you didn't spend one night in Bangkok, you've never been. And then we went down to Phuket, and then we went to Phi Phi Island where you could actually swim. And Phi Phi Island now you can only go wade in the water, and now they don't let you go in there because of the reefs and so on and so forth, because of the mass amounts of tourism. Now Thailand is trying to get more and more tourists because they see the money. It's like, show me the money, and so they're pushing tourism really, really big. And with that being said, their country has also said, hey, we've got all these expats, and there's like, I don't know, 400, 500,000 expats or people that are living in Thailand. And it's like, yeah, why don't we tax those people? It's going to be an insane amount of money. So yeah, it's coming to a place of where Thailand has realized its worth, and they realize that they can tax people. So here's what we're going to take a look at here. And this is article. It's an overview of the new tax on foreign income. This is pretty wild. Section 41 of their revenue code, this provision requires an individual to pay income tax to Thailand under the following individuals: that you're a Thai citizen, or you're a Thailand resident who files taxes in the previous year. And here's the kicker: the foreigners living in Thailand for one or more periods totaling at least 180 days in any tax calendar year. So that's 6 months. So for those people who don't know, 180 days is 6 months. And so if you kind of do that snowbird thing and during the winter you go to Thailand for 6 months, you're going to be paying some taxes. So receiving income within or without Thailand, and either it is employment through wage, salary, remuneration under Section 40, and we'll take a look. Business operations of the employer under Section 40, passive income or properties, interest, dividends, rental income, goodwill, etc. And then they have it's a tiered system. It's a tiered tax system. So what you'll end up seeing is, 0 to 150,000 baht is exempt from income tax. So how much is 150,000 Thai baht? That is what we don't want it in South Korean won. We want it in United States dollar. So it's about $4,000 a year. If we end up, and then it goes 500,000, and the tax rates go, as you can see, from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35%. So let's see, about 2 million and 1 baht. So let's take a look at this and what that comes out to. That's about $55,000, $56,000. So $55,694 is $56,000. So there's people with incomes and so on and so forth that you're going to be subject to a 30% tax rate. If it's below that, 25%, and again, the high is 5 million or more, 5 million and one Thai baht or more, you're going to be subject to 35%. Now, the department begins taxing on foreign sourced income, and this happened back in January. I just found out about this, but I thought, it was like, whoa, this is apparently causing, as I was perusing the interwebs, and it's causing quite an uproar among expats and people who have lived in Thailand for a long, long time, and now they're going to get dinged on some taxes, and they're not happy campers. It's been case examples. An individual who resided in Thailand for 300 days worked in Thailand and received a wage from an employer in the United Kingdom. Therefore, this Thailand resident is subject to pay income taxes as his residency period is more than 180 days by virtue of Section 41 of their tax code. Case 2, an individual residing in Australia who worked for the employer from Thailand and received a salary from the employer. You're going to get taxed too. Then it talks about something else. Now, the good news is, excuse me, Thailand has some double taxation agreements, kind of like the United States. I'm not real sure on how much of this applies. It's an agreement to prevent double taxation and reducing financial burdens among individuals, avoid conflicts of taxing rights, ensuring incomes is taxed once or at a reduced rate, ensure fair treatment of taxation from discrimination, prevent tax evasion and tax fraud, promote economic activity by stimulating cross-border transaction and investments between treaty countries. So anyway, there are 61 countries that Thailand has a taxation treaty with, and so that there's no, and one of them is, United States, United Kingdom, Australia, all of those countries there, and a lot of them, Philippines, Russia, Spain, Romania, Denmark, Czech, China. The tax laws are complex, and they say that they're subject to change. Now, this is going to be interesting because I've read some stuff online, and people are asking, well, and videos like Retired Working for You. That guy does a ton of videos on Thailand and retiring, and he has done some videos asking the questions, well, what does this mean for people on Social Security? How are they going to get taxed? What happens if somebody sells a house in the United States and they bring that money and they made a profit off the house, and then they come to Thailand? Are they going to be taxed on the profits that they made on their house? In the United States, if you live in the house for 2 years or more, the profits on those can be untaxable or not taxed. It's tax-free. Granted, there's obviously some upper limits to that. I think it's like 250,000 individual or 500,000. At least that's what it was when we were back there. So it's untaxed there, but will that be taxed in Thailand? And the Retired Working for You guy, he was talking, and there's a possibility that could be. In the profits derived, let's say you sell a property less than 2 years, and you made $100,000 profit, and you I mean, there's a possibility that you paid 30% tax in the United States on your profit, but then you get to Thailand, and because you have so much money and you're in that top tier for 35% tax rate, you paid 30% tax in the United States. But when you get to Thailand and then they say, well, you made this money, so now you're going to be taxed the difference between the 30% and 35%, which would be 5%. That is jarring to a lot of people. And there are a lot of questions. So, here's some stuff, the Thailand Law Library, library siam-legal.com, and you can look up the revenue codes. And that's section 40, income derived from employment, whether in form of salary, wage, per diem, bonus, bounty, gratuity, pension. That's pension. So military and if you got a pension, house rent allowance, monetary value of rent-free residence provided by employer, payment of debt liability, and it just goes through all of this stuff which is considered income. Interest on a bond, deposit, bill, loan, security. I mean, it just goes dividends and sharing and all of this stuff, shareholders, and I mean, they just went to town. Any money is gained by the rental of property, breach, installment sales contract. It goes through some other stuff, blah, 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 blah. Income derived from contract of work where the contractor has provided essential materials besides tools. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And as I read through this section and some other sections on here, like section 41, the taxpayer in the previous year assessed. And I mean, you just read through this stuff and it's like, wow, they put a lot of thought into this because they can get a lot of money by the taxes. And so, for example, this was put out in February 9th, 2024, and the expat twist in Thailand, navigating the new landscape in 2024. And unfortunately, I called this. I said that there would be countries that would, there's going to be more fees, there's going to be more taxes. And yeah, the once, little to no tax that countries for expats and retirees is now seeing that, yeah, there's a lot of people that want to retire and you're going to have to pay for it through taxes. Yeah, this is like in here in this article, it says foreign earnings stashed abroad remain blissfully untaxed. And this was before. However, the new year has ushered in a new paradigm shift. Now, all foreign income brought into Thailand by tax residents, including expats and retirees, well, some retirees, is subject to personal income tax. This marks a significant departure from the past, leaving many expats wondering how to navigate this uncharted territory. Understanding the old and new talks about this. Fast forward, tax residence goes from 0 up to 35%. We looked at that. And there are some loopholes that you can do to minimize the amount of taxes that you can pay in Thailand. So, yeah, they're like the Thai tax laws offers a generous exemption of gifts between spouses. So up to 20 million baht gifted in a single year escapes the taxman's grasp. This opens strategic avenue for couples to transfer income and potentially lower their overall tax burden. However, exceeding this threshold incurs a 5% flat tax. So careful planning is needed. So now, before taxes, now not only you're going to get taxed, you're going to have to get a tax lawyer, and it's going to cost you some money. For certain expats, the Royal Decree number 743 might be the golden ticket, and this grants tax exemptions for specific long-term visa holders, including wealthy retirees, global citizens, and professionals working remotely from Thailand. These fortunate individuals, and I will say these few fortunate individuals, can potentially shield offshore income brought into the country from the taxman. Additionally, high school professionals in targeted industries can enjoy a reduced tax of 70% of their employment income. So in other words, they want professionals to come and work in Thailand, so they're going to cut your taxes. And so that's kind of a benefit. Yeah. So holding a long-term resident visa, and we'll get into this. And this is the big one because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, get the long-term visa," and you get that. And when you look into that, it costs some money. So, for example, wealthy global citizens. Yeah, that already tells you enough right there. Wealthy global citizens, minimum annual personal income of $80,000 for the past 2 years. So it's about 40,000 a year. The kicker is minimum assets of 1 million US. Yeah, so 40,000 a year, that's not bad. If you have a military pension and you got some disability and you got Social Security or some other pension or whatever, you could do $40,000 a year. I mean, what is that? What does that come out to? So, seriously, divide that by 12. So $3,333 a month. Yeah, so that's doable for a lot of people. Still, there's a lot of people on Social Security because Thailand used to be the place of, oh, come to Thailand, live on your, $1,500 or $2,000 Social Security check, or your $1,000 Social Security check if you live out in the province, or $500. People can survive off of that in Thailand. And investment requirements. So here's you get one kick of the nuts right there by saying $1 million in U.S. assets. Investment requirements, at least $500,000 in Thai government bonds, foreign direct investment, or Thai property. That talk about a dual kick to the nuts. That is just insane. So, if the personal income, that's, you read that, it gets your hopes up. Oh, I can do that. And then you read the next two lines and you're just like, oh, that hurt. So let's go to the next one. Wealthy pensioners. You read this, and wealthy pensioners, you got to be 50 years old or older. And it's like, oh, I'm older than 50. I'm 50 or older, so I'm good. Have an annual pension or passive income of $80,000 a year. So in other words, now you got to make $80,000 a year. So we're talking about what, $6,666, a month. Alternative option: if your income falls between $40,000 and $80,000, you can compensate with a minimum investment of $250,000 in Thai government bonds, foreign direct investment, or Thai property. This is a little bit. This is more like a kidney punch, because there are people that minimal annual pension of 80 grand. I mean, that's a lot. You're talking $6,000-$7,000 a month. But if your income falls below that, you can compensate by coughing up $250,000. In other words, you're paying to play in Thailand, and I don't know what the interest rate is on Thai government bonds or whatever. That's just something that's just not even in the ballpark for the majority of people like you and me. And then they have the work from Thailand professionals, which is $80,000 in the last 2 years. Employment requirements: must be employed by a foreign company with a branch office in Thailand or remotely from a foreign company based outside of Thailand. And then they have the highly skilled professional, and you have to have a minimum. Not only do you have to be a minimum or a highly skilled professional, you have to have a minimum annual income of $80,000 in the last 2 years, which isn't bad. But you also have to have professional qualifications and skills that are needed in targeted industries in Thailand. So yeah, college degree, PhDs, doctorates, so on and so forth. Something that's high tech, employer requirements, and so on. And then you're looking at additional requirements for all of these. Is you got to have a valid passport. That's given. Proof of health insurance with coverage exceeding $50,000, no criminal record, and payment of visa fees. So yeah, it's in this article is from huahintoday.com. You can find that there, but it goes through some things, and it says that Sunisa, who is Thai, and John, who is British, is residing in Chiang Mai for the last 5 years, found them caught into the new tax scheme. She is a freelance designer earning income online from international clients. John, a retired teacher, receives his UK pension, which also remains untaxed in Thailand. With the new regulations, ding, 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 you're going to get dinged. She now faces a 35% tax burden on her income because it exceeds 5 million baht, impacting her financial security. John's pension, while now subject to tax in Thailand, might find some relief through a double taxation agreement between the UK and Thailand. Faced with this challenge, again, giving gifts, exploring the LTR visa and a wealthy pensioner, and so on and so forth. Now they're going to have to try to. You're going to try to reduce the amount of income that you're making, being a Thai citizen, and I don't know. It's kind of pushing people out that could afford, and it seems like Thailand's gotten a little greedy. I get it. They're doing it for the good of their country. They see all this money that can be had through the tax revenue, but I think they're just going a little bit too far, kind of like what Malaysia was doing. Malaysia had this, My Malaysia Second Home. And it used to be, if you made $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 a month off of Social Security or pension or whatever, you could live in Malaysia. And Malaysia as a whole, then they changed it. And then it said, now you got to make up to like $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000 a month to be able to qualify to do the retirement thing. And it's like they grandfathered in all the people that were there previously living off of Social Security, $2,000 a month or whatever. But that could change as well. That's not set in stone. So, Malaysia does it. There's another part of Malaysia and I can't remember the name of, it's kind of like it's still part of Malaysia, but it's different. And so they have their own Malaysia My Second Home, but it has lower income requirements because it's further away from the main Malaysia capital of Malaysia City or whatever. Excuse me for not remembering that name. It totally escapes me. But it ends up that, so now people are going to that place and to do their My Second Home Malaysia in that province or county or district or whatever it is that they call those things, to be able to stay in Malaysia. But again, what's to say that little area of Malaysia doesn't say, we could do with a lot of money and they could raise the income rates. The thing I tell people is retiring overseas is that you need to have a plan B. And, so for example, for us, we're retired here in Korea. And my wife was a Korean national. She became naturalized U.S. citizen. Now she's a returning Korean with an F4 visa. I have an F1 visa. And she could work. I can't work with an F1 visa. So, but with that being said, there's a double taxation treaty with the United States between Korea and the United States. So there's no double taxation. Now, if we get a property and rent it out, and then there will be some tax considerations probably on both sides. But and there is with Thailand, but we don't know all of the details. There's still a lot of people. They're still working through all of the bumps and the kinks and everything. So you can imagine the uproar that is going on in Thailand amongst expats, retirees, digital nomads, anybody who spends more than 180 days in Thailand. Now you're going to be taxed. Isn't that crazy? And now you've got, they're going to have their own IRS department, and they're going to have, tax lawyers that your CPAs that you got to deal with. That's going to be another expense. And from what we've seen on that long-term tax thing, it's crazy. But, like the wealthy pensioners and stuff, I think what they're doing is they're getting greedy. And I understand that what they want to do is they want to, this is the same thing. It talks about those wealthy citizens and so on and so forth. And, Yeah, it's a lot of money. Ugh. But yeah, coming to a place of where I understand the country wants to tax and get some of this revenue, this profit by people living in their country. I totally get that, but I think what they've done is they've jumped so high with their requirements that they're going to cut out a lot of people. And I think that's going to bite them in the butt a little bit because they're going to find out, yeah, there will be people who will go for that LTR visa and they're going to pay taxes and Thailand's going to get a bunch of money. But I think they're limiting themselves, kind of like what Malaysia did when saying, oh, well, you got to make $8,000 or $9,000 a month to be able to retire in Malaysia proper, and they're going to lose a lot of profits because, and I think in one article I read that they had with that new income requirement that they only had 300 applications. Imagine the thousands and thousands of applications that people who retire on Social Security that are getting $2,000 a month, or somebody that retires from the military is making $2,200 or $2,500 a month, whatever it is, or the money, the dividends that they get because they invested for so long. They're cutting a huge segment, a huge demographic out of that, and they're going to be losing money. And I think what they ended up doing is they're seeing these big dollar signs here, and it's like, oh, we're going to charge a bunch of money, we're going to tax it, and we're going to have high income so we can get more tax revenue. And then they're forgetting about the everyday people that get a normal Social Security or they get a normal pension, and they're going to lose all of that because there's more of those people than there are of the ultra wealthy and the things like the LTR requirements. There's not as many of those as there are of the people that are getting $1,500 a month on Social Security or $1,000 a month in Social Security. People who skimped and saved and they've got $500,000, and that and the interest that they get off of that is what is funding their retirement. They're basically kicking all these people to the curb, and they're losing out on money. So they're looking at the big dollar sign up here, and ooh, we can get all this great money, and they're forgetting a larger segment of society of the world who's making that lower income, and they're just going to go somewhere else. So, unfortunately, I called this, and I think what will happen is there's going to be some countries that are going to change their tax laws. They're going to change their retirement visa because they're going to see how, like Malaysia, only had like 300 people apply for their new retiree thing with their increased income of $8,000 or $9,000 a month. Only 300. Before it was like thousands and thousands. There's 400,000 or 500,000 people living in Thailand right now. If they change this and walk in that similar light and having such high income requirements, a lot of those people are going to leave Thailand. And a lot of those people, if they cannot stay in Malaysia, if they're not, they're grandfathered in right now, but the future retirees, people like me, there's still some boomers around that are retiring. Now you're getting into the next generation that is getting ready to retire. And there's a lot of those as well. They're not going to go to Thailand. So they're cutting, they're hamstringing themselves for long-term profits by having quantity over quality. And I think that's going to be an issue. So yeah, and there's already people that are asking questions, and I spent like a half a day looking at stuff saying, asking questions, and I actually sent some questions to some legal offices in Thailand asking about this, about the new tax laws. They wrote articles and so on and so forth, and they deal with taxes or whatever, and businesses and incorporations and buying property. And I asked them, I said, what happens if somebody's making $2,000 a month on Social Security from the United States? What are they going to be taxed? Oh, and by the way, Biden did vote for Social Security to be taxed, so you can thank him for that. Before, it wasn't even taxed. You worked and you paid taxes on all the money that you got, and then when you got your Social Security, you were never taxed before off of that. And then Biden and a bunch of other people said, "Yeah, let's tax it." It's yeah, that whole thing. We're not going to get into that. The other question I asked is if somebody has a military retirement or a pension from the military, what, how is that going to be taxed? You know, and what happens is somebody with disability payments, like Social Security disability. If you have disability, that is non-taxable. Or Veterans Administration, there's veterans who get VA disability checks, and that is not taxable under U.S. tax code. Is it going to be taxable in Thailand? Now, you got this double taxation treaty, and if you're getting taxed on Social Security, I'm just kind of guessing. I have no clue as to whether this is absolutely true or not. But people with Social Security, you're paying taxes on it in the United States. So unless there is a difference between the Thailand tax rate and the U.S. tax rate, you would have to pay that difference, but we don't know. So that's why I asked the question with that example of $2,000 a month, and 24,000 a year or whatever. Would that person be taxed in Thailand? Same thing with the military retirement. $2,000 or $2,500 a month. Is that going to be taxed? It gets taxed in the United States, and this double taxation treaty that Thailand has with the U.S. Again, is there going to be a difference between what I pay now because I am a low income, and if I pay a low income tax in the United States because I don't make a lot of money and it's 15%, but according to the Thai tax law it's 30 or 35%. Whoa, how much is that going to be? So yeah, let's see what that's going to be. Let's say if you're making $2,500 a month, that means you're making 84,000 Thai baht, about 90,000. So it's going to be at a 20% tax rate. So there is a possibility that you could pay the difference between the U.S. tax rate and the Thai tax rate, which could be, depending on how much you make, 5, 10%, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. That's rough. Talking about that. I mean, and then the other question I asked was disability. I know veterans' disability payments are not taxable in the United States. So does that mean that let's say you get 100% disability, which is like $3,400 a month? Let's see what that would come out to be. I'm just guesstimating on this. 3,400. So that would be 122,000. No, that can't be right. 3,400 a month. That's a year. So that's got to be 122, and that's going to be times 12. 122, let's just make it 123,000. 123,000 Thai baht times 12. So that's 1.4 million. And so, yeah, you're going to be at a 25% tax rate. So you're going to pay 25% taxes on your VA disability or more, depending on if you get more, 30% tax rate. Ooh, that's going to hurt a lot of people. That's going to piss off a lot of vets. And that is going to be hard. I mean, yeah, we're looking at that there, and there's you make 3,400 a month, multiply that by 12, and you come up with that, between 1 and 2 million baht a year is subject to 25% tax, or maybe 30% tax if it goes over by one baht. So, a lot of questions. And unfortunately, because other people have said this before, things can change when you retire overseas. Political climate can change. Governments can collapse, military coups, uh, immigration laws can change at the drop of a hat. And what we end up seeing here in Thailand is that, you know, their people are going to get taxed. So the once awesomeness of Thailand in not having taxable income, yeah, that I'm kind of surprised that it lasted this long, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, this is, you know, you're talking 400,000 or 500,000 people that are living in Thailand. They're going to get taxed out. It's going to be rough. And the income requirements for their long-term residency visas and so on and so forth, I think they bit off more than they can chew. They set the bar too high, and that's going to turn away a lot of people. It's going to turn away a lot of money. You know, you're talking about people that get like $1,500 or $2,000 a month on Social Security. Those people aren't going to come to Thailand. Those people that did come to Thailand because they could make it in Thailand and retire in Thailand, now you're turning them away because they don't meet these high income requirements. Now you're going to lose somebody who's renting. Now you're going to lose somebody who's buying property. Now you're going to lose somebody who's buying gas and food and medical and hiring, you know, a maid or, you know, hiring a gardener or whatever, handyman, whatever. All that income is going to go away. And I think, unfortunately, Thailand's going to, hopefully they'll see this, but I'm not sure. So, like I said before in many other videos, make sure you stay abreast of what's going on with all these countries. And what was that? There was a list, and I had it. List of countries with retirement visas. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Oh yeah, here it is. So let's take a look at this. So on this website, wherecanI.live, countries with retirement visas, 28 awesome options around the world. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger for y'all. And countries with retirement visas: Bulgaria, France, Greece, Iceland, Italy, Portugal, Spain. And if you live in Europe, you could go all over the place. Central America: Belize, Costa Rica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama. South America: Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Uruguay. Asian is Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines. Middle East: Dubai. I heard Dubai is having some problems there. Mauritius, South Africa. Oceanic countries of Fiji, New Zealand, and Vanuatu. I have never heard that before. What is a Vanuatu? It is a South Pacific Ocean nation made up of roughly 80 islands that stretch 1,300 kilometers. Scuba diving, blah, blah, blah. Official languages is Bislama, French, and English. Wow. Archipelago, where is it on a map? That's what I want to know. Oh, okay. So the location is there. All right, Australia, all of that. There's Korea up there. So, wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. So, yeah, with all of these here on these countries, and these show the income requirements, this is probably a good list to look at, but you still need to verify the information to make sure it's up to date. But it'll show the income requirement for US dollars on how much. And let's see, where's Thailand? Thailand, 1,800. So it used to be non-immigrant OA or OX visa, but now they're kind of doing that. I don't know, is that still a thing? I don't know. Or is it just a long-term visa thing and they did away with e-visa applicants are no longer, okay, acknowledge, whatever. Tourist visa, apply online. Tourist transit, long-term visas. Oh, so apparently they still have those. Work business, smart visa, long-term visas, 10 years or longer. So the long-term visa in Thailand, I remember now, you can do it for 5 years and then you can renew for another 5 years. So it comes out to 10 years total. And then you're exempt from getting taxed. Retirees 50 age older who have a pension, $1 million in assets, whatever. Oh man, that just hurts. But long stay visa, OA, what does that entail? Passport documents, blah, blah, blah. Financial evidence showing monthly income no less than 65,000 Thai baht or having a current balance of 800,000 Thai baht in bank statements, proof of earnings, so on and so forth. So there's still this apparently, so that's good. But the validity of your visa is good for 1 year. But you're still going to get taxed on your foreign income. You have to have a medical certificate, kind of like in Korea. You have to have medical insurance, foreign insurance certificate, health insurance for Thai or foreign insurer for no less than 100,000 US dollars or 3 million Thai baht, certificate of criminal clearance, kind of like FBI check. And then there's another one, long stay for 10 years for 50 and over. And what does that come out to? Fixed deposit of no less than 3 million Thai baht with no less than 1.8 Thai baht of monthly income with no less than 1,200,000 Thai baht per year in a Thai bank. Again, the medical, dental, and all that stuff. So, this is definitely to check out Thai e-Visa official website at thaivisa.go.th. And then also this other one of wherecani.live to get the countries with retirement visas and the options that you have. But I think what we're going to end up seeing is a lot more people, a lot more countries are going to tax and see that they can make some good money off of retirees and older people. But then I think they're going to go too high, kind of like Malaysia did, and some other country's going to let them in. They're going to offer it, and they're going to make up that revenue in bulk by having more people instead of having a few people with high incomes. Somebody's got to open up their gates. At least somebody smart should open up their gates and offer retirement visas for those people that are making like $2,000 a month or whatever. It's interesting. So things change, and unfortunately, I called this. I said this was going to happen in previous videos. It's just the way of the world, and just like go retire in Bali and whatever, and property's cheap, and now boom, it ends up it's property is no longer cheap anymore. Let's see, what is this? 13th. Today's not the 13th. Okay, so I got just a little update. So things change. So retiring overseas, and what we see in Thailand is they're changing their tax laws to get that money. Show me the money is what Thailand is saying. And I think that's going to drive a lot of people out of Thailand, unfortunately. Good thing is they still have that visa, not the long-term stay, but the 1 year stay. And so that's kind of the OA visa. That's good for 1 year. There's multiple entries, so on and so forth. So at least they still have that. But you're still going to get taxed. So, that's going to be an added expense. So, you're looking around for different places, you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a plan B on where you're going to go if something changes with the taxes or immigration or political climate. It's kind of unsettling because somebody like us, the wife and I, how we settled in Korea, things can change, and where would we go next? Thailand was definitely a consideration. It still might be, but you're just going to have to pay some taxes. But that might drive, to going to the Philippines, or it might be driving to Malaysia, or it might be, going to Europe and finding a more tax-friendly expat retiree pension visa thing. And you just have to uproot and do it all over again, get used to a new way of living and doing things, and try to enjoy your retirement. So anyway, if you have experience living overseas, retiring overseas, or being an expat or a digital nomad or whatever, what you remember or what you did or what you're thinking about doing, and what do you think about do you think other countries are going to increase the taxes for expats and retirees on their visas? Unfortunately, I think they will, especially with the condition of the world that we're in right now. So, yeah. Will you be grandfathered in? I don't know. What do you think? Put that in the comment section down below. Okay, so anyway, that's going to be it. I thought that would be some interesting information that crossed my desk, and I wanted to share it with all of you. Definitely, you got to ask questions and you got to check everything. You know, how bad it would be if you got to a foreign country and then you realize you're going to get taxed and it's not conducive to you staying in that country. Now you got to uproot yourself and try to find somewhere else to go. So, yeah, make an informed decision is what it's all about. So anyway, that's it. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all of that on The Buried Life on YouTube. That's me and the wife there. And we're currently here in Korea and enjoying so far. All right. See you. Peace.